You're listening to Mountain Escapes, a podcast connecting backcountry enthusiasts with the stewards and caretakers of lodges throughout British Columbia, Canada. Each episode highlights a unique backcountry lodge in BC through a conversation with the lodge owner and/or operator. Your host, Brad Harrison, has worked and adventured in remote settings his entire life. He's owned and operated lodges, guided guests and colleagues, provided avalanche skills training, and is the executive director of the Backcountry Lodges of British Columbia Association. Here he is.
Hi, and welcome to the BLBCA's Mountain Escapes. I'm Brad Harrison. Today I'm talking with a couple who own and operate a lodge in the fabulous Canadian Rockies. They are both world-class athletes, and they're raising their family in a true backcountry lifestyle. They've got some great ideas and stories to share. So without further ado, here they are to get the ball rolling.
Hi, we're Grandi and Sara, Renner, and we own and operate Talus Lodge on the BC side of the Canadian Rockies, not too far from Canmore, Alberta.
We've been operating Talus since 2018, and we focus on the summer hiking and backcountry skiing in the winter, and our terrain is located in the high plateau, so it's true to its name, Talus. It's quite rocky, and the lodge is situated above tree line. I think we actually might be the highest lodge in Canada, and it's incredible hiking in the summer. It's a mixture between limestone, karsty, and pockets of incredible wildflowers and moss. And we have some beautiful above tree line ridge walking. And Thomas, you can describe the winter.
Sure. The cool thing about winter is that all the big rocks and boulders and all the kind of harsh terrain, I would call it, like, it may not harsh, but the word to describe it is jagged and everything. The cool thing about winter is everything gets smoothed over in a white blanket. And all these places that in the summer can be difficult to move around in at times become an incredible skiing arena. And being a skier, my background, I love winter up here. It's great. We've been pleasantly surprised to find that we have a lot of snow around this area and we have some great runs. So it's a continual exploration of the ski terrain, but our theme around here so far has been better than expected. Currently, what makes us unique is we've transitioned to hike-in access, which is a change from how Talus Lodge used to be run in the past, where it was just all helicopter access. So now we're actually driving our guests to the trailhead and we're arriving on foot, which makes it a really unique experience when, you know, you've had this 700 meters of vertical and 7-kilometer beautiful trail that winds you up into the Alpine. And when you finally see the lodge, you feel this sense of accomplishment and an appreciation of where you are in the landscape. And so we feel that we've created a very deep and meaningful experience and a connection with nature that perhaps isn't as readily available as if you arrive on a helicopter.
I think that's actually, that's a good point is, this is a backcountry lodge business, but there's a higher purpose to what we want to do here. And it's not just hiking, it's not just skiing, it's people leaving with a deep appreciation for how humans interact in this natural environment. And we want to be part of positive change and humbly try to make a difference.
Wow, Sara, I certainly applaud your efforts and the changes you're trying to make. We're going to get back to your lodge in a little bit, but first I'd like to find out a little more about you and Thomas. You're both decorated athletes, so please tell us a little bit about your background and how you might have met.
I grew up in Canmore, Alberta. I was born in Golden, and my family ran a Assiniboine lodge. So I grew up in the backcountry business, and my introduction to this sport was really based on necessity. It's how I got myself back to school, and it's how we played in the woods. So I had a connection to skiing, and when I was 12 years old, the 88 Olympics came to my hometown of Canmore, and that really set the stage for my path as an athlete. And I was really lucky growing up in Canmore because I had a whole bunch of friends who were also Nordic skiing, and it was just such a fun social thing to do, and it was a really exciting era of Nordic skiing in Canada in that we were able to progressively climb the ranks together. And I retired in 2010 after the 2010 Olympics, and I have a World Championship medal and an Olympic medal and some World Cup medals, and a real sense of, a lot of my experience actually growing up in a backcountry lodge really gave me these gifts to become an athlete. And, I have a lot of gratitude for where I came from. And I think that really did power me to what I was able to accomplish. Your turn.
My turn?
Yeah.
Well, I would say my journey through sport and my upbringing was very different from Sara. I was born in Italy to Italian parents. And in 1975, my father decided we would immigrate to Canada. And the story goes that he went to the Canadian embassy in Milano and asked the consulate there where a good place to raise a family in Canada in the mountains was. And the answer was Banff. And so we settled in Banff, and my father decided we were going to be a ski racing family. There was really no questions about it. And so we immersed ourselves in ski racing. I had two older sisters that were also ski racing. And so we were as committed as any family to a sport, I think. Like Sara, the 88 Olympics were definitely a big influencer on me. I really knew that my journey needed to include an Olympics. And so both Sara and I competed in 4 Olympics along the way. And I chose to race in the GS and slalom events, which was quite unusual for Canadians. We were known as the Crazy Canucks, Ken Reid, Steve Podborski, and that crew, and they were all downhillers. And we didn't have a tradition at all of being giant slalom and slalom skiers. And so there's a lot of highs and lows, of course, as there are in any endeavor you take on. My highs came in 2004 when I won 2 giant slaloms on the World Cup circuit back-to-back in Alta Badia, which is very special because it was only an hour away from where I was actually born. And a lot of family and friends were there cheering me on. So that was my highlight of my sporting career.
So we actually didn't meet through sport. Again, we met through backcountry. And my best friend, I worked with her at Assiniboine, and she worked with Thomas's mom. And she told Thomas's mom, I have my best friend. She'd be perfect for Thomas. And we were introduced sort of, through a mutual friend of the mountains. And I had a stereotypical image of alpine skiers as being like party animals and driving fast cars. So I was very cautious, and Thomas had this image of Nordic skiers being wool sock granola eaters. And we pretty much were that. I eventually, through years and years, he now loves granola and wears wool socks.
So Sara introduced me to backcountry lodges at Assiniboine, and her father, being a mountain guide, mentored me, even though without me knowing it, I was being mentored to eventually become a ski guide, which was really cool.
And so tell me a little bit about the history of Talus Lodge and how you ended up being involved in or taking it over.
Well, my aunt is Margaret Gamoser, and her favorite trip in the world is hiking from Assiniboine to Talus. So we did a backpack trip in the area, and it's 30 kilometers to the south of Assiniboine. So, in terms of backyards, it kind of felt like our backyard. And the thought of doing a backcountry lodge, it actually wasn't on our radar because I have no regrets with my childhood, but my parents were so busy. We were self-raised, and I kind of wanted to be with my kids, so we didn't think about it. And then we had this opportunity to go check it out, and we wanted to see if we could ski to Talus, and we couldn't believe the size of the trees. And we're like, oh, there actually looks like there might be some skiing here, because traditionally Talus was known for not having ski touring terrain. a snowshoe lodge or a cross country lodge. And we, to be honest, that was fine with us. But we were really excited to kind of see that it looked like there was some good skiing. So
the bottom line with the whole lodge and us is we tried to resist it, but for whatever reason it kept coming back to the forefront. We had people that brought it to our attention that it was for sale, and they thought we would be good at this. And the spring before we bought it, we invited a bunch of close friends to ski from Burstel Pass into the lodge. We basically collected varying degrees of abilities to see how this was all going to go down. And we skied in, and we had an incredible few days. I think that was the kicker, really. It's like we'd be crazy not to go down this road and give it a shot and see how it goes, because how often does a backcountry lodge come up for sale in your backyard? I would be remiss not to mention Sara's parents. They were just such supporters of the whole thing all along. It was really great to have them in our court, really supporting us along through the process.
So, as you know, I own 3 lodges for an extended period. I know how busy it is to run a lodge. I totally understand that part. Explain to me how you managed to raise 3 kids while running a lodge. Like, how does your average day look?
I think that Sara and I are good at dividing our tasks when it comes to the lodge. We certainly have a different skill set. I think the biggest thing is being flexible and being able to pivot, change your mind. Someone in the staff comes up with a good idea. You're great. Let's do that. That's a great idea. And so I think it's been a good exercise in being flexible and being able to adapt to whatever presents itself.
And I think too, part of the puzzle is, what is the most important thing, and the most important thing is our family, and keeping that in perspective. It's running a backcountry lodge is a passion, but I think we base our decision making on how to be a healthy, happy family, and we have a lot of laughs. And I think having a sense of humor and knowing that things are going to be great and things are going to go wrong all the time. And it's you just have to roll over things and have a laugh at the end of the day. And I think you really have to make the most out of what you have in every day.
I just want to make an example of family in the lodge. So I think in order for us to really prioritize, like Sara said, prioritize family, we need to trust our staff so that we can, here's the lodge, guys, we're going to be out of service for a few days. Tomorrow we're going to go down to the Kootenay and we're going to put our raft in the water and we're going to float down with the kids for a few days and kind of try to forget about what's going on in here, let the staff take care of things and focus on the family for a few days. And I think that's going to be really important for us, is to make that commitment to, from time to time, just letting this place be and trusting that people are going to take care of it, and that way we can focus on our kids.
And so, yeah, speaking about your kids, just curious, I know it's hard to tell, to try and project, but do you see any of them having a preference to, working in the backcountry lodge environment, or in more into the competitive sport path that you both followed?
I do feel for them because they have parents who are both high-level athletes, and while we don't have expectations, I think there is that underlying expectation that, they have to be good, or they have to be passionate about it, and they play soccer and they Nordic ski and they alpine ski. I think we try to keep it as non-committal and have them drive their decisions in their athletic careers, and just keeping it at that fun level they don't have to do anything performance-based.
I think our kind of our parenting philosophy is to let them try everything, have dreams, and when they decide what they want to do, we'll support them. But I think it'd be great if one of them or all of them were interested in this business and kept it going. So time will tell, but I think they have a really rich upbringing so far.
If you're dreaming of exploring the Kootenays, Valhalla Mountain Touring provides uncompromised luxury deep in the backcountry. So, Whether your long summer days need to be improved with ridge walks, wildflowers, gin-clear alpine lakes, or your winter mornings are best served with an early start to harvest Kootenai cold smoke, end it with us and lean back, kick your feet up, and clink a beverage with fast friends. Rest assured, any stress you may have arrived with will have thoroughly melted away. Explore endless terrain from the comfort of a luxurious lodge. Access Valhalla Mountain Touring through New Denver, BC. Learn more at vmt.ca. Valhalla Mountain Touring is a proud member of the Backcountry Lodges of British Columbia Association.
All right, Thomas and Sara, let's talk a little bit about your lodge, Talus Lodge. Do you find that the winter season or the summer season is your strongest?
Well, that was a bit of a surprise as we thought it would be summer, but winter definitely is our strongest season, and summer is the season where we can grow a lot. So our typical summer season, we do a Sunday and a Thursday exchange day, and we stage people from Canmore and we bring them up to the trailhead, and everything at Talus is guided. It's some really interesting terrain up here. It's really convoluted and there's no established trails, very few established trails, and we describe our hiking as no hands in the pocket walking, and we don't have a fluffed and buffed trail system. So it's incredible hiking, but it is challenging hiking.
And so would your typical guest like crossover from summer to winter, i.e. would you have the same people come both seasons, or do you see a difference in the two sets of customers?
Well, I think we're still learning on that in terms of we've only operated now for one full summer season and 1.5 winter seasons. We got shut down early on the COVID season in the winter. But we're definitely still learning our clientele and trying to build our clientele. But last week we had a group from Calgary, Edmonton, and they had a great time, and then they booked for winter. So I think that ideally we would have the same group coming in summer and winter. I think that would be awesome. I don't think that's going to be the case for all groups, but I think there's definitely going to be a few groups that will enjoy being here summer and winter.
And so is it guided summer and winter? All the groups are all guided and catered for both seasons?
Yeah, that's right. Definitely. We've chosen to go that way. We definitely discussed a lot of lodges do the self-catered, self-guided option, but we feel it's easier in terms of managing staff, food inventory, all the logistics. If we're in charge and if it's guided and catered, we can set up our staff accordingly. And also the terrain, like Sara said, it's quite convoluted up here, and we've had people getting lost summer and winter trying to get in and out of the lodge. So again, like Sara said, there's not really a lot of established trails here. So we feel it's best suited to guided catered, and that's the program, and people are so far really enjoying it.
And your guests that don't say necessarily cross over to both seasons, is there a typical demographic for the summer and winter, and is it different?
I would say in the summer we get a lot of family units coming up. So, ranging from kids that are 10 years old with the grandparents who are 70 years old, like a lot of multi-generational trips. And then we are seeing that in the winter as well, but in the winter more so I think it's parents wanting to leave their kids at home and getting together with groups of friends and just getting away from the crowds.
Yeah, Talus is a great powder fix in the winter. It's it's a shorter trip than a lot of backcountry lodges that do a full week. So we offer again the Thursday and Monday in the winter exchange days, and we do fly in the winter time because the access in the winter is much more complicated. So I think a lot of local folks enjoy coming up here for those few days, getting their fix. The Canmore heliport's super convenient for people coming from Calgary, Edmonton, and flying up to the lodge, and they can get 3 or 4 days of skiing in and go back to their busy life. So it's worked out really well that way.
And so your customers, especially your repeat customers, what one thing would they say about Talus that makes it unique or different than other backcountry lodges they may have visited?
We did a big reno last summer, so we added a boot room and a cold room, and the kitchen got expanded. We added a guest room, and but one of the other neat things we did is we added evacuated solar tubes on the roof. So we're offering hot showers. The water comes from a gravity feed creek. It goes into a hot water tank that's heated by the glycol loop that's going up onto the roof through these evacuated solar tubes, and it's working so well. You know, we have an incredible, nice shower at the end of the day that doesn't require any energy inputs. There's no propane being consumed. So we're really proud of that part of the lodge.
Mm-hmm. And I think, when you think about what makes us unique, we're in the Canadian wilderness, and it's such a privilege that we get to be here for right now, and that people have these choices to go to these places in Canada that are, they don't exist in many places. That you can, your closest neighbor is 30 kilometers away. That you might wake up and you may see a wolverine, and you're in this setting with no connection to the Wi-Fi, and with these people that you're meeting your new friends for the first time, or reconnecting with people that you love dearly. So it's hitting the pause button, really. And so I think what makes us unique is we are just a place to kind of discover what it is to be human again, just to breathe, just do nothing but breathe and eat. Yeah, I think humans need this. It really is an escape of the everyday.
You bet. Mountain Escapes. That's the name of our podcast, and it really is what people need once in a while, particularly now. So looking forward, what is your vision for Talus Lodge? Where do you want to be? What are your goals?
I would just love for us to be a human power access summer and winter. We've done it in the summer, and I think the winter is much more challenging, but if we could find clientele that we could just establish a business on human-powered access, I think it would be a really exciting thing. And I don't know if that's a realistic dream, but I think it's important to set goals. The dangerous thing about goals is when you do say them and you say them out loud, sometimes they come true. So I'll just put that out there, that I think that would be a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's something that Sara and I are very passionate about, and if this lodge can be here for 100 years and provide exceptional experiences to people that need a reset, that need to hit the pause button and need to reconnect, and also inspire them to want to protect these wild places, I think that would be a great success.
Wow, thanks for sharing those thoughts. Just before we wrap up things here, I'd love to hear a story or anecdote from each one of you. Something funny, remarkable, scary, just something memorable being out in the backcountry and about owning and running a lodge. Anything you feel like sharing?
So when we first purchased the lodge from Chris Espinal, we arrived at the lodge and we hiked up from the bottom. And Chris and Joanne, of course Joanne, his partner, they were here. And we popped a bottle of champagne on the deck. He pulled the keys out of his pocket. We had a toast. He gave us the keys. And shortly thereafter, he got on a helicopter and flew away. And Sara and I looked at each other, and we actually couldn't believe what had just happened. And not long after that, we had planned to have a bunch of friends out to do our first firewood party down in the logging cut below. And we had been watching the weather forecast. October 1st was that date where the transition had happened. And they were forecasting a big storm to come in on October 1st, right on that day where we first took over the lodge. And we were going to do our big firewood day, which entailed flying on a long line, nets of firewood, down from the Cross River staging area, which isn't far, luckily for us, up to the lodge. And the night before the flight was to happen, we had a dozen people, maybe 4 or 5 vehicles down below. We had prepared the wood. We had it all in nets. the helicopter was on standby, ready to come in, and I called the head guy at the heliport, and I said, listen, I don't think it's a good day to fly. The forecast's looking terrible. And he said, we're coming in. And so I thought, wow, is that the way we do business with the helicopter company? They kind of decide, they call the shots for us. I said, okay. So we started our flying that morning, and we got a lot of the firewood in, but sure enough, about halfway through, the weather came in. We had a full-on blizzard start. The helicopter left, and there was a dozen or so friends, very close friends at the lodge. And it proceeded to snow for 48 hours, and we got a meter of snow up here. And all our vehicles were snowed in down below at the cross. And we couldn't get them out. One group of people, there was 5 of them, that had to get out, and they hiked down in thigh-deep snow down to their vehicles. He had a lifted truck with chains. He managed to get out, but there were still 5 or 6 vehicles that got stranded there. And it took a week for the snow to slowly melt, and we flew chains in, and we got all the vehicles chained up, and one by one we got the vehicles out. But it was quite a start to our experience as lodge owners, and it was one of the first of many similar experiences that would happen over the years.
Yeah. So my story is last summer we closed because of COVID, and we took the opportunity and we did a lodge expansion. So we were cooking out of the staff cabin, which is 2 bedrooms, and we had probably up to 20 people working on the lodge, and we moved the stove outdoors, so everything was outside. We ate outside, cooked outside, and Talus is famous for many things, but mostly for the wind. And the wind often would blow out the pilot on the oven outside. So you'd be baking some sourdough bread, and sure, lo and behold, the wind would blow out the pilot, and the oven actually wasn't on when you thought it was on. So after one morning of waking up at 5, I was the chef, and my bread turned into this, like, it was kind of like it was a brick, and I was lamenting this, and I was frustrated. And we had Matt Hatley up, who was helping us with trail design at the same time, and he had an accident and a couple of years ago, and he lost his leg. And he was listening to me complaining about my bread, and he said to me, well, I can think of a lot worse things that could happen. And I looked at Matt and I said, thank you, Matt. And I like to think about that when you think things aren't going well for you. And he's been an inspiration in that he has been, walking around with his prosthetic and moving through this rocky terrain faster than I can with my 2 legs. So it's always nice to have a little bit of sense of inspiration in your daily day.
Well, thanks a lot, Thomas and Sara, for sharing some insight on your operation and your own personal lives and your athletic endeavors. It's very much appreciated. We'll let you go back to work at your lodge.
All right. Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, it's been nice chatting about the lodge. Lots of good memories so far.
Hi, you've reached the voicemail for the Mountain Escapes podcast, My Best Backcountry Story. We're thrilled you called, and we're sorry to have missed you, but we're out making our own moments in the backcountry. Go ahead and tell us your soul-filling, heart-singing, stomach-dropping, mind-blowing, bestest backcountry story, and we'll throw it up on the pod. Thanks again, and keep them stories coming. This message is from Rick, located in Kamloops.
So yeah, I was really happy to be invited. We were going to do a hut-to-hut walk or trek or group hike, I guess, in the Esplanade Range. I'd never been out there, and I was really excited to go. And the date was early September, and I was thinking, well, we're going to miss all the flowers, but whatever, it should be nice. But really, I was surprised by the colors on the landscape. The fall colors were spectacular. I was really surprised by that. And we had snow. What a relief after the smoky summer we had. Man, snow felt good. And it was cool. That felt good too. And early snow on the fall colors, well, that was even better. I mean, I just love my photos. I had some great photos there. The lodges themselves were great, cozy and warm, and it's so quiet out there. I love that. Yeah, we had great food. It was great company, and I'm full of great memories.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Mountain Escapes, a backcountry podcast. I hope you learned a few things, and I'll be back soon with another episode going deep into the backcountry through the stories of folks like Sara and Thomas from Talus Lodge. This podcast is funded in part by members of the BLBCA and hosted by me, Brad Harrison.